I'm
Angela Lambrosino.
Okay, welcome everyone to BTHS Beyond. Thank you very much for coming tonight, and thank you for participating in the workshops. And a special thanks to all the panelists that came from far away, close to here. This is by far the most that we've ever had here. It's a great event. Last year we did it for the first time doing it this way, so I certainly do appreciate the panelists, and I also appreciate our clubs and activities and all the other career and technical schools that were out here along with the military. So hopefully you got good information in the workshops from the panelists. You'll also get a lot more information in probably about the next hour or so, and they'll be available to answer your questions. And we also have the cards out in the front. If you have any questions for us, or we need to ask any of the panelists any questions, feel free to drop the card in the basket that is outside. We probably still will have a lot of food available at the very end there, but I think we cleared that out pretty well. So before we get started with the program, I'd like to introduce our principal, Mr. Kleisler, for a few words.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to be very brief, but I just want to say I have a unique opportunity to be here as a parent for the first time coming through here. It's rewarding, the stuff that I've heard already. Thank you to the guidance department for setting this up, Mr. McKnight, and panel. I know I'm very anxious to hear what to expect as a parent of a sophomore and being in that tunnel and not knowing what to expect. I'm very anxious to hear your words of wisdom as we prepare for the next 2 years here. So without further ado, I'd like to thank all of the parents for coming out tonight. The second year of BTHS and Beyond, we're looking to improve each year, and we'll continue to do the same in years going forward. So thank you very much, Mr. McKnight. Thank you.
So again, appreciate you coming out. I first of all like to again thank Mr. Kleisler, the administration, the central administration team, and all the assistant principals who helped us tremendously, along with the custodians and the teachers for helping. But mainly, the counselors were the ones that did the workshops, while I ran around acting like I was doing something, which I was doing absolutely nothing but sweating in my suit here and getting ready to do this presentation with the panelists. So I'd like to introduce the counselors. Okay, so we have Ms. P. right here. We have Mrs. Smith right here. We have Ms. Ianello right here. Ms. Walling right here. And Ms. Salona is probably having Chick-fil-A right now. No, it's good. Okay, so again, we did the format last year. I thought it was very successful. We had, for many years, did a PowerPoint with a junior presentation, but we wanted to really open it up to more sophomores and more juniors, and even some freshman parents that wanted to come. I know we send out a lot of emails. Ms. Walling sends out a lot. The counselor sent out a lot, and obviously I send out a lot. So again, it's just to try to get you the right information. So without further ado, I'd like all the panelists to go right down from right to left, introduce your name and the school, and then we'll get right to the questions.
Hi everyone. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. My name is Chelsea Davis. I'm an admission counselor at Bloomfield College in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Hi, my name is Angelo Lambrosino, and I'm your admissions counselor from Caldwell University in northern New Jersey.
Hi everyone, I'm Angelica Assetti, admissions counselor at Centenary University in Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Fay. I'm an assistant director of undergraduate admissions at the College of New Jersey.
Hi everyone, my name is Dennis Green. I'm one of the admissions counselors at Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Hi everyone, my name is Colleen Healy. I'm an assistant director at Felician University in Rutherford.
Hi, I'm Jenny, also known as Jennifer Brennan. I'm from Georgian Court University, where I'm an admissions counselor there.
My name is Patrick Dorsey. I'm associate director of undergraduate admission from Monmouth University.
Hi, I'm Zach Brower. I'm an admissions recruiter at Montclair State University.
Hi, my name is Shakira Monroe. I'm an admissions counselor at New Jersey City University.
Hi, I'm Mike Musso, and I'm an admission counselor from Rider University.
Hi, everybody. Despite your brochure saying Jess Prack or Beth Domkowski, I'm actually J.C. Caulfield. I'm an admissions counselor at Rowan University.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Kane. I'm the assistant director of admissions at St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. Hello.
Hi, I'm Tracy Lisk from Stockton University. I'm assistant director of admissions down there.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenna McAteer. I'm an assistant director of admission at Seton Hall University in South Orange.
Okay, thank you very much. If you notice a theme here, it's all New Jersey schools. All right, we put it there just because of the local ways. Last year we did not have this many panelists. This year we have obviously plenty, but we only really sent out one email, and all the panelists responded, so they got first dibs with this. So I appreciate you coming all this way and being part of this. So we're going to start out with the questions and how the questions were kind of coordinated. We started with them last year and kind of tweaked them a little bit this year. And feel free to jump in. Anybody, doesn't matter. We won't spend too much time on one question, but we want to try to get some different answers. And if people will have different opinions, that is perfectly fine. So anybody can just jump right in there. Just speak into the microphone, as some of them are a little far away. How much value for the high school schedule do you place on the strength of the schedule? And anybody can jump in. Anybody, go ahead. Not a game.
I'm in the middle, so I'll start, I guess.
Right.
Strength of schedule is important. I mean, we all, I'm sure I speak for everybody up here when we want to see that a student's challenging himself. But beyond that, you also want to see a student explore their interest. I always say, and sometimes it's hard for students and parents to kind of wrap their heads around it, but the student with the most honors or AP courses isn't always the winner. If I have a student come to me and they're interested in pursuing our graphic design or our music industry program at Monmouth, I'm gonna expect to see that interest reflected in the student's schedule as well. So, it's a balance, but at the same time, for me, I want to see a student explore their interest, and that should be reflective in their transcript, their essay, their letters of recommendation, and everything else. Taking an honors class just to take an honors class isn't, to me, why you're doing it. You should have relevant interest in that course, in whatever it is you're going to study, because maybe you don't have the opportunity to take that as an AP or an honors level in high school. So you go and take a animation course at Ocean County College or something. To me, that would be just as significant as a high-level honors or AP course.
Okay, anybody else want to jump in, expand upon that? Okay, one thing we want to look at, especially if you have junior students, go ahead. You good?
Well, what I was just going to share, just kind of to conceptually give you the flip side of that, is obviously everything that was just said totally rings true, but what many schools would not value or appreciate is necessarily a student who is taking all academic or college prep courses and getting straight A's and making the assumption that they can stick with that track through the culmination of their high school career, posting straight A's and looking great, because that wouldn't necessarily be the case. If we see that you're posting consistently strong grades in those academic or college prep courses, that tells us that you can likely handle including at least some rigorous honors or AP or IB courses into your curriculum. And most students do that slowly. They'll add 2 honors or AP courses, see how they do with that. If you're still posting strong grades, continue to increase the rigor, and if anything, trend that upwards. So I just wanted to add that caution in case you are a student who's taking those kinds of courses and posting strong grades. That tells us you can handle a more rigorous curriculum.
Thank you very much for that answer. When we're talking with the juniors, and right now we're in the midst of scheduling, a lot of the juniors going into their senior year would like early out in their schedule. What do you guys think of having early out? Because obviously it's going to be listed on the transcript. Early out usually without going to take college classes, and they're maybe just going to work, so I'd like your opinions on that. Go ahead.
I think I'll chime in here, guys, if that's all right. Basically, for Rowan University, I can't really speak for everybody on this panel here, but for Rowan, if you have the credits necessary to do such as an early out period, feel free to go ahead and do so. For us, if you're able to, meet all the requirements to graduate the school that you're attending here at Brick, you're able to, apply to our university. Just certain things that you want to keep in mind. If you're not able to fulfill, those requirements, maybe the early out's not your best option. But if you are, having those requirements that are listed on almost everybody in here's website, for us, you should be okay going forward.
And the other thing with an early out, and this goes back to an answer that was just given, an early out, instead of doing that, is a great way to take some of those elective courses that you think you might have an interest in, because so much of high school is really meeting those requirements that high schools require. So those Englishes, those maths, those sciences, and really kind of having that option at the end of your senior year to kind of explore and to take some classes that maybe you didn't have time for before. You do have the complete option to take the early out, and I think as he said, most of the schools up here, as long as you have the academic units, you're fine. But as I said, it really does give you that chance to explore a little bit more, to pursue a passion that you offer in classes, and to do something other than just that academic work.
Okay, thank you. And to go along with that, on the next question, we always encourage our students to their senior year, because we've did numerous surveys through the years, because math seems to be one of the issues when they get to college where they're struggling either in the placement test or they're struggling in the first math course. And a lot of seniors, they're done their, seniors to be, they are done their math requirements or their science requirements. So I'd like people's opinion on any courses that they recommend for their senior year in regard to the math or the science for admission or just for preparation.
My junior year of high school, I doubled up on my maths, thinking that I wouldn't have to take a math my senior year. And then when it came time for me to pick my courses for my senior year, my school counselor highly advised me, based on my math grades, that I should take a math course my senior year. And I was very crushed, because math and I do not get along very well. But it was the best decision that I made my senior year of high school, other than picking my school, because when I went to college and I was in my statistics class my first semester, I struggled very heavily with it. But the upside of that was that I really relied on some of the tips and tricks and things that I learned from that statistics class that I took my senior year of high school. So my advice is definitely at least fill it with a math. If you want to double up and get all of your math requirements done, feel free, it's your schedule, but definitely take into consideration what your counselors are saying, because they are the experts.
Anybody else like to chime in on that?
So for us at Montclair State, we only require up to Algebra 2 for math, but I always recommend for seniors to definitely take math during their senior year. In the admissions process for us, we do give students a little bit of a boost if they're taking a senior year math or science course. And I also think for students that might not be the biggest math fans, it is really good, like the other counselor just said, to continue that trend of taking the math. And once you go into college and you're taking that freshman year math, you haven't had a whole year break of not doing any math, and you forget everything. It all just goes out of your head. I can't remember anything from yesterday, let alone from 2 years ago. So I think that's really important to continue on that trend and keep taking those math courses if you can.
I'm going to speak to the students who maybe are terrified of math. Georgian Court University, we don't require that math in your fourth year. I think the important thing to think about is possibly some of the choices you're going to be making down the line. What do you want to major in? If you're leaning towards an English major, for example, do you need that math? No, because you're going to be having the option of, as a general education course, taking math for the liberal arts, which is a very simple class that us that focus more on the liberal arts are going to really succeed in. And so from there, but on the flip side of things, if you're interested in nursing, yeah, you want to take those hard math and science classes, because they're going to want to see them to be accepted. So, I mean, I definitely think the choice is a personal one as well. So you always consider that.
Okay, thank you. Now, some of you might have already answered this a little bit, but we'll kind of ask the same thing, because it is a question that comes up with our counseling with the students, and this goes all throughout the high school years. Is it better to take an honors course and get a B, or get an A in the college prep? And I know you kind of answered that, but if we can kind of stress upon that a little bit more. Go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand. Go.
So at NJCU, we do take more of a holistic approach when it comes to reviewing applications.
Talk into the microphone, if you don't mind. Thank you.
At NJCU, we do take more of a holistic approach when it comes to reviewing applications. So, of course, it is nice to take an honors course because it does look good on your transcript, but the student does need to do some self-reflecting. Don't take the honors course just because it looks good if it won't necessarily be a benefit to your GPA, because if you don't do well in that course, it will decrease your GPA and it will probably hurt you. So if you can take it, take it. If not, stick with your college prep courses.
Anybody else like to add anything?
So as she was saying with the holistic approach, I mean, most of the people on this panel agree that, we do take an overview of not only your, GPA, but also your recommendations and so on. So going forward, as she was saying, take that honors course if you're available. I know certain requirements, so if you're looking to, maybe go into one of our engineering courses, if you're looking to take like an honors calc, that would definitely benefit you going forward. Now, as she said before also, if you're looking between college prep, like say biology or honors, and you know that you're not the best at that, well, it's probably not a good idea to take that honors course. You don't want to stress yourself thin because now you're, relying on yourself to, go in depth with that honors course, and your other classes may reflect that. So just remember as you're going forward that you really want to set yourself up for your entire GPA and not bring that whole semester down because of a class. So as she was saying, you definitely want to take those courses if available to you. Obviously they will help you going forward, but again, if it's going to hurt you in the long run, please take that college prep course and show us that you are able to complete those courseworks.
Okay, and we can kind of run this one right down. We don't have to have everybody, but just to kind of get an idea. Does your school give academic credit for the AP course that they took in high school? Maybe just start out with a few. Give yeses. Most of them probably are yeses.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. The college courses that a lot of our students, and we've kind of changed the dynamics of that through the years, but it's been quite a few years now where they were able to start taking college classes, whether it be locally at one of the community colleges or one of the four-year colleges. So I think it's been a wonderful thing. The kids have embraced that. How do you guys feel about the students taking a college course in their high school years as opposed to taking just another course here in their senior year? And would you be willing to grant credit through the things such as NJ transfer and any of the courses that they take at the college? Is most of the courses going to count? And anybody can answer that.
I think that taking a college course is a great way for you as a senior in high school to really get a feel for what it's going to be like when you do go to college. It's a great way for you to take an opportunity that your school provides for you and to understand what kind of work is going to be expected when you do move on to that next stage, no matter what school you go to, if it's one up here or if it's one that's not represented. I know for Ryder in particular, we're really generous with our transfers. We have a lot of students that do come in from high school that do have college level courses, and we make it so that you can have that experience and go and get those classes, and it cuts off a little bit for what you have to do once you're actually there because you already had that college course taken.
One of my responsibilities at Monmouth University is also transfer student recruitment, so I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity. At Monmouth, we'll take up to 72 credits from a two-year institution, which is more than an associate's degree. So for the student that is maybe unsure about what they want to major in or anything else, starting off at a local two-year, even if it's for a semester, is a great way to kind of expose yourself to different courses and everything, and kind of find out what you're interested in studying, what you're not interested in studying, and also I think and we'll talk about this probably as we go through the panel. But from a financial perspective as well, it's a good way to help defray the cost as well. We call students that come to Monmouth, as undecided. We say that they're still exploring. And you can come to Monmouth and you can still explore, or you can go to OCC or a two-year institution and still explore. And from a cost perspective, it certainly makes a lot of sense, and there's still scholarships available. All of our experiential education, study abroad, research opportunities are still available to transfer students as well. So from the non-academic side of it as well, you still get that student experience as well. So the transfer option, starting off at a two-year institution, I think makes a lot of sense for some students in certain situations for sure. Anybody else on that?
So yeah, so we have a lot of the college options for our students, and it can begin after their sophomore year. And for Ocean County College, it is basically half price as long as you meet the criteria. In order to be able to take a college class, you can take that in the summer, or you can take it during the school year, either here, your junior year or your senior year, or you can take it down at the Ocean County College campus. Also, we have Georgian Court with our school that you can actually take it with that, and that's even more than half price. It runs about $220, not for the credit, per credit, but for the actual whole course, which is a great savings. As the Monmouth rep said, it is a wonderful savings for those students, and they can take the college classes at the Georgian Court campus. Same thing during the summer or during the fall or spring semester. Okay, preparing for college. With the students, and again, we have a wide range of students that, are here, a wide range of parents that are here. So we have, some freshmen here, we have some sophomores, and we have some juniors. So our college visits necessary. I myself actually travel around basically the East Coast. I just like to drive around, find a school, and go to that school. But it actually really helps me. Mr. Kleisler and I were talking about it today with his son in regard to making sure that you're looking at these schools, because it does wonders. What are you guys' feelings on that? Maybe a few people chime in on that.
I think that touring a university is probably one of the most beneficial things you can do. As you've been hearing about the different costs of these schools, you can see this is probably your biggest financial purchase besides a home in the future. So if you're going to look for an investment property or anything investing, you're not just going to go and buy it without looking. College is definitely on that list. So it's just like driving a car. You need to go out there. You actually do need to test drive it, see where you fit in on campus, whether it's at Rowan or one of the other schools on this panel. The biggest part for you is to see where you fit in on the university, and if you don't fit in, then maybe that's not the best choice for you. So visiting at school will definitely give you a feel if you belong on that campus or not.
Something else to point out is when it comes to the importance of college visits is many of you will probably hear as you start your college search and start connecting with counselors at various institutions, they'll hear the buzz term demonstrated interest frequently. And this isn't every institution, but some institutions do track demonstrated interest, meaning we are trying to gauge which students believe they truly are a good fit for us as an institution. And part of the ways we do that are through things like formal registered visits. So if you come for a tour, if you come for an open house, if you have an opportunity to participate in an admissions interview or connect with an admissions counselor one-on-one, some institutions now are tracking those kinds of interactions, and that could weigh in on your final admissions decision. So as much as the college visit is important for you as a prospective student trying to figure out which schools are a best fit for you, know that it's also important to us on our side.
Anybody else?
Yeah, and I definitely think it's also really important to start early with those college visits, even if you don't really know what you're looking for in a college. The great thing about having all these our panelists here and all these different schools in New Jersey is it's not too far to go visit to see what kind of schools you like to see. At Montclair State, we're home to 21,000 students. We're over a 250-acre campus. There's some of the schools here on this panel are much smaller and offer a little bit smaller of an atmosphere. And you kind of you can get a feel of what is interest to you, what you like, what you don't like. And that's something that's really important. As one of the panelists from Rome was saying, this is one of the biggest investments you're going to be making in your life, and it's really important to get that feel and to start early with your research. So definitely come to visit. I know all of us have different events that we have going on throughout the spring and in the summer. So come visit the schools, especially because we're so close in Jersey. It's great to come get some visits and get some ideas of what you're looking at.
Not only would I recommend visiting a school once, but definitely go back again because the school that I chose eventually, I had to visit 3 times before I figured out it was the right fit for me. Some students, they walk on the first day and it just feels absolutely perfect. So yes, definitely visit and visit more than once.
Just like Angelo said, my parents knew that it was my school before I did. It took until my overnight visit where I stayed overnight with a current student and got to shadow them in class the next day that I really found that my school was my school. And I work with a lot of different schools. I see a lot that other schools have to offer, but going back, I would choose my school all over again. So I highly recommend definitely visiting more than once, whether it's a same event, you can go for multiple tours, every tour guide's different, or just different events, whether it's an open house and then an hour-long campus tour. Definitely visit more than once if you can.
Anybody? Good. Okay, thank you for those answers, and I think it really is important if you ever get a chance to sit through classes. There are some colleges also that will let you maybe stay in a dorm room or whatever overnight, so certainly check with your colleges as you approach that. This has changed through the years drastically. To how many schools should students apply? And I know there's lots of free applications, obviously the Common App, but we have some students through the years have got all the way up to 20 applications. What are you guys' feelings on that?
So with the Common App, you really can apply to about 10 schools at one time, which is good, but I don't really think it's necessary, and I don't know if some other panelists can agree. You really just need about 5 schools. You have your dream school, then you have some schools that maybe you're interested in, and then there's your fallback school. So you don't really need 10 applications. But if you have 10 fee waivers, apply to all 10 of them.
Go ahead, anybody?
I started off with a list of 200 schools, believe it or not. I actually picked like every state, about 5 or 10 schools or something like that, and it took a little while, but I really had to push myself to choose 15. So yes, I did apply to 15 schools, and yes, I would not have found my dream school if I didn't apply to 15 schools, but I don't have money for fee waivers, so fee waivers was the best thing for me. I was going to pay $50 an app, so definitely always ask if fee waivers are available for schools that you're interested in.
I think going forward for your applications, I don't, no offense to anybody on panels or, other colleges. For me, it's whatever you guys want to do. If you feel that you need to apply to 10 different schools, apply to 10 different schools. If you feel that one school is the right school for you, then apply to that one school. Obviously, it's always great to have backup choices, but it's not for me to tell you how many that you should apply to or anything that way. It's basically if you guys feel that's comfortable, then definitely go with that choice.
All right, so let's say they did their due diligence and they went and visited the school numerous times. They picked their school. They only applied to a few schools, and they get into the school, they go there. Okay, when should they declare their major? If you have kids maybe undecided or going in, when should they declare their major? Go ahead, anybody.
So, one of the things... So we actually have our Dean of the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences who consistently tells students that one of the best decisions they can make is to go in undeclared, because as an 18-year-old, you don't always know exactly what you want to do. Still as a 25-year-old, I don't know exactly what I want to do. And I know I've talked to a couple parents here and at other fairs that say they also don't know what they want to do. So it's one of those things that it's a continued process, and having those initial couple years or couple semesters to really get a feel for what it is that you like, what it is you have a passion for, because your major could turn into a job that you have for 40, 50 years, and you want to like what you do. You want to go in knowing that it's something that you enjoy and something that is going to make a difference to you and to those around you. So with us in particular, you can declare, you can go in undeclared, and you have 2 full years where you can take those upper level classes and still get advising. And I know that each school functions differently with undeclared majors, but it really does give you that option to get in and explore and see what you want to do at a college level and not just at the high school level.
And with St. Peter's, same thing, until your sophomore year to make a decision. Nursing students, they have to make a decision a little bit earlier. Besides that, everyone else, you have until your sophomore year to make a decision. I was undeclared, and I turned out just fine. I have a job. I'm doing good. But I remember when I was a junior in high school, I would debate between a talk show host or a nurse, and I was afraid of blood. So kind of tended the other way. And a lot of schools do offer core curriculum classes. So your freshman, sophomore year, you can take a little bit of everything, and you're not alone. That was one thing I wish I knew, especially when I was in high school, that you're not alone in that decision. You'll get an advisor. You can talk to people in the career services office that will help you kind of figure out what classes you need, or even take up an internship just to see if that's something you're interested in.
But note that that will vary from one school to the next, because, for instance, at TCNJ, you cannot apply undecided. We're an enrollment management institution, so we have only a certain capacity for each academic program that we offer. That's how we keep class sizes small, how we keep lab sizes small, how we keep the student-faculty ratio low. So if students fill out a common application for TCNJ, you'll notice that there is no generally undecided or generally undeclared. We ask students to at least choose one of our academic academic schools. We have 7 academic schools that house all of our programs. So if, for instance, you're a student who's generally interested in business, but you don't yet know if you want finance or marketing or accounting or management, you can apply Open Options School of Business to TCNJ, but you cannot, unfortunately, apply generally undeclared.
Thank you very much for that. And it always is good to hear the different answers. A lot of times the students don't realize that. And we start out freshman year, we give them the Naviance program. And getting our lovely students to use the Naviance program and to check their emails and to really research the schools is always a challenge. The ones that do it really know what they want to do down the road, and they're well informed with that, but we certainly want to encourage that. We also want you to use the ACT site and the College Board site so you have a plan, so when you know the different schools that you are interested in, you can look into and research that so you know exactly what they're looking for schedule-wise and also for the other reasons, okay? So thank you for the answer. When they get to the college, what type of job placement programs are available, and what type of work-study programs are available? Maybe not every school, but maybe a few people chime in on that.
At Centenary, we allow any student that's interested in working on campus to apply for a job on campus. So it's posted through our Career Center. I'm sure after you listen to a few admission reps, a lot of the on-campus jobs go through the Career Center. We have jobs pretty much in every academic department, as well as several student activities departments on campus. So I know at Centenary, at least the best way to find out about the on-campus jobs is to go through the Career Center.
Okay. Anybody else on anything on that? Okay, thank you. Okay, with college applications, okay, as we worked with our seniors this year, what is so important about an applicant's outside activities and this notion of being well-rounded? Because we get a lot of students that have a whole laundry list of things that they might have just added on so they think that they look good. Some of us counselors, we tell them really it's better to have maybe a few different things that you are well committed to and showed leadership in, as opposed to a whole laundry list. So I'd like to hear your opinions on that.
I think here at Fairleigh Dickinson, we really agree the same. We agree that being really passionate about one thing, whether it's community service or maybe it's babysitting or something that you're really interested in, and doing that and having that on your resume or within your application, it's going to really show us that you're a good applicant at the end of the day. So having that laundry list might not be the best thing. Having that one thing that you're passionate about is probably the best.
I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect student. So you might hear our schools giving you numbers about GPAs and SAT statistics. While some have strict cutoffs, others are a little more flexible. So if a school has an average of, let's say, like a 3.3, but you have a 3.0, don't let that scare you away from applying, because you might bring other things to the table. You might mention this in your essay. You might be able to send us a resume or any other thing that could tell us a little bit more about you. So keep in mind, the essay is just as important as the rest of the application and your school grades.
I think every school can tell you that if they have an activities fair for the different types of clubs and organizations that they have on campus, the number one rule of thumb is don't sign up for everything, mostly because your inbox will be filled with emails about club meetings and everything, but you should definitely try and find one activity or maybe two that you really do dedicate yourself to, so that you can show that you have leadership experience, time management skills, organizational skills. That's pretty much what we mean by well-rounded, is that you aren't just a good student, but that you have other skills that you bring to the table as well.
Okay, with the you had mentioned the statement, okay, or the essay. So what do you guys feel are the best piece of advice to students who, when they're writing that, want to make a statement and maybe don't have this elaborate story? What do you guys feel about when they're actually writing their essay?
Check your grammar, or ask someone else to look at it, just like a teacher or counselor. And yeah, that's my big thing. I'm a big stickler for grammar. And make sure if you're writing about a specific school, be sure to change it out. I've gotten students write that they're so passionate about a different school as if they're applying to my school. So just be careful, check your grammar, check the content, just check a lot.
Please just realize that the essay is the only thing that you have complete control over for your application packet. So you can't control what your teachers write in your recommendation letters. You can't control necessarily what happened your sophomore year of high school. But that essay or your personal statement is the only piece that's completely you. So utilize that and really use that to your strength. Don't just kind of look up on websites and see what College Board recommends you write about an essay topic. Really think about what you want to say. Now, some schools have essay topics that you have to write on, but at Stockton, we make ours very open-ended. You can write a personal statement, you can write more of your traditional college essay. So if you're applying to a school that doesn't have a set requirement, make sure that you really think about how you want to use that essay and how you want to use that personal statement, because you can say a lot in 250 to 500 words, and it can really speak volumes about who you are and what you're going to bring to the school outside of what your transcript shows you or outside of what your club activities show about you. So that would be my best advice.
One tip of advice, too, as well, it seems like when we speak with students, when they're talking about their application, it's the essay that they're really concerned about. Do know that both the common application and oftentimes a lot of applications, each individually to each school, do open in the summertime. I know for the common app, it's usually the first week of August. So as we recognize that senior year is a busy time for you guys, once September begins, maybe think about writing your essay, over the summer, perhaps in August, right when the application opens. Go ahead and insert that essay, maybe fill out your biographical data like your name, your address, all of that easy stuff. So then once you come to school for senior year, classes start in September, you kind of just focus on clicking, physically clicking submit on your application.
Okay, thank you for those answers. When the student is going through their selection process, how do the colleges, and everybody might differ on this a little bit, how do you choose your students?
We pull them out of a hat.
That sounds good. I might have got in somewhere then. Maybe.
I think you guys are probably catching on to a theme. We all kind of operate in a little bit of a different way in terms of if you can apply to a certain major, or if you're. I'm sure some schools up here may even be test optional or anything else. I think the best way for you to look at it is, at least for me, we really want to accept everybody. We want the academically gifted student. We want the musically talented student. The athlete, the leader. We want all sorts of types of students, because more than a school, we're really building a community, or at least filling one. So we want students that are going to thrive within that. So. When we sit down there and we're looking at a student, you hear the term fit a lot tonight. And because, not only do we want you to come, but we want you to stay when you get there. So beyond academically, we want the student to come there and thrive academically, socially, and professionally as well. So that's why GPA, SAT, essay are so important, because this is going to be your home for the next 4 years, and if all you did was go there, go to class, study, and do your homework, wherever you decide to go, it would be a very boring place. So in terms of when we're sitting there and we're looking at how we select students, I would say for Monmouth and maybe a lot of schools up here, I'd rather see a strong GPA versus an SAT or ACT. But that being said, the next most important thing is going to be that SAT or ACT score, because when you're receiving 10,000 applications for, just over 1,000 seats in the class, you start looking at those things beyond, the GPA and the SAT, and really taking a look at things like my colleague from TCNJ said in terms of demonstrated interest and everything else like that. So, how we select our students, I think that's your guys' job once you start going and visiting these schools. When you sit down with your admission counselor, talk to them about what they feel is important, and then it's your job to kind of demonstrate how you have that and why it's a good fit.
Thank you. Anybody else like to add anything on that?
Yeah, so I think we do have GPA requirements and requirements for SAT and ACT scores. With that being said, and this ties back to one of the last questions, that essay statement, if you feel like your GPA or your test scores aren't high enough, can really save you in a lot of ways. We want students who want to be at our school. So if you really, really want to be at our school, then definitely putting that in a statement and explaining maybe why your GPA isn't high enough. Were there circumstances that happened? Why will you be more successful at our school? Is it that this passion and drive for how you want to go to this certain school that's really like bringing you to it, and how will that improve your grades in the future? So I think like GPA and test scores are super important, but it's also important to think about like really, really why you want to go somewhere, because if you put that into your statement, that's going to make a huge difference.
Thank you very much. We have students that start out, maybe got off to a rough start here, and then they start improving. So can they turn it around to where, from their freshman year where they have made that improvement, can they turn around and have a solid sophomore and junior year, and then obviously take a demanding load their senior year and have a chance to get into your institution, maybe even if they don't meet the original cut scores?
Yeah, so with Rowan University, going forward from your transcripts, obviously we take a look at all 4 years of your high school career, but at the same time, when you go into high school, you're 14 years old. A lot of people, you know, are trying to find themselves at 14, so you're getting involved in, you know, sports, time management. So maybe your freshman year, even some of your sophomore year might not be as strong. So we definitely take into consideration, you know, obviously there's 4 years, but if you are trending to the positive side, that's definitely going to help your application going forward. Like I said before, 14 years old, a lot of people aren't, you know, 100% where they should be in school. So as you get older and more mature, we definitely like to see you trending that way.
Also, at NJCU, we do have alternative acceptance routes for students who do not meet the general admissions requirements. So we have programs like our Summer Bridge program and our OSP program that accept students.
Okay, anybody else on that?
At least at Centenary University, if we see a positive upward trend, we'll definitely take that into consideration. But one thing you can think about is holding your application until your mid-year grades senior year come in. We'll factor your mid-semester grades into your overall GPA if it's going to help you. That will definitely vary school to school, though, but that's something that you want to talk to your admissions counselor about.
Okay. A lot of students, we always love the teachers and obviously the guidance counselors. We do the letters of recommendation. How important are the letters of recommendation, and do you have any suggestions on letters of recommendation, either from outside sources or who is the best person to write that letter?
Again, this may vary from one institution to the next, but I can certainly say, at least for a school like TCNJ, unfortunately, we don't host admissions interviews. So we as counselors, we as application reviewers, don't really get a chance to meet all of our applicants face to face. So what I frequently share with prospective students is that more often than not, your essay and your letters of recommendation are the only windows into who you are as a person for us as application reviewers. So I say that cautioning students to necessarily select choosing a teacher, for instance, for a letter of recommendation, if the only reason you're choosing that teacher for a rec letter is because you got an A in their class. If you never really connected with that teacher, then odds are, as someone who reads the letters of recommendation, the teacher will only talk about how you're a strong student, you did well, who did well in their class. But I saw that you did well in their class in their transcript. So that letter of recommendation, in my opinion, told me nothing new about you and was kind of a wasted opportunity. So I strongly encourage students to tap individuals for those letters of recommendation who can speak best to the qualities of their character as a person. Much to what my colleague at Monmouth spoke to regarding who is a good fit and who's going to be contributing to our campus community. Oftentimes those letters of recommendation are the window into that. So at least at TCNJ, yes, we do look for at least one rec letter from a counselor, one from a teacher. But if you're opting for a third letter of recommendation, I strongly encourage students to consider going to a coach, to an advisor of a student group you're affiliated with, a supervisor at a part-time job. There are many individuals out there who should know you as an individual and can speak to the quality of your character.
Bloomfield would prefer a teacher and a counselor, but just like TCNJ just said, we want whoever's going to best speak to who you are. So we accept coaches, bosses, youth group leaders, reverends. As long as your grandmother isn't your reverend, that's fine. We just ask that it's not a family or like a close friend. It's someone that should have some sort of not superiority or authority, but someone that is maybe like in charge of you or knows you as, I don't know the words right now, I'm kind of blanking right now, but I'm sure you all kind of know what I mean.
And just to kind of bounce off of that, be strategic when you come to your recommendation letters. I know everyone here on this panel could probably speak to students that have sent in 8 letters of recommendation, all from different teachers, all who say the exact same things practically, just fill in the gap with a different course and a different year. So definitely be strategic. If you have people in your life who can say 5 different things about you, then definitely send in those 5 different recommendation letters. But if you only want to send in 2, make them one from that academic source, and then really think strategically about who can say something different about you for that second or that third letter of recommendation.
Okay, awesome answers. Thank you. Standardized testing is big in all states, and we have the SAT, the ACT. What is your current view on the importance of standardized test scores in the admission process? Do you think some form of standardized test will always be used in the admission process? What are some alternatives, and can students overcome a weak score? You don't have to answer all that, but feel free.
So I actually work primarily with transfer students, like you do. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say, I really don't like standardized testing on both a personal level and just my opinion in general for admissions. I think that it doesn't really show the quality of how a student could do. With that being said, my university does require a certain test score. But if you don't reach those requirements, there are other options for you. One of the best being, I think, transferring in later. You wouldn't have to necessarily go away to a community college to get your full associate's degree and then transfer over. However, if you wanted to go to your community college, prove that, you know, college is for you, regardless of what your test scores originally showed, then that will definitely help in you getting accepted as a transfer student. And also, I think financially, it's just a really good option for some people. So with that being said, I just think, you know, there's other options. If you don't do well on your tests, I think, you know, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're going to fail at college, not even a little bit.
Just to speak upon that, I believe that, you know, there are obviously studies out there that show that standardized testing are not the best options for students, that GPA is. For Rowan University, we do have test optional admissions available. So if you are looking to go into test optional, if you have a 3.5 on a 4.0 scale, you're able to do so. Now, with that being said, obviously we do, you know, take into consideration the standardized testing, since that's, you know, how we get into most of our more selective majors. But going forward, again, I think that there's always going to be standardized testing with college admissions, but as we were saying before, there's definitely other alternatives if you are interested, you know, in those routes instead of taking those standardized tests.
Actually, so at Montclair State, we actually are fully test optional. So for all of our students that aren't strong test takers, really don't want to do that, that is an option for us. For us at Montclair State, we've done a lot of research, and we've realized that the biggest indicator of college success is the GPA and doing that hard work in the classroom all throughout those 4 years. So when we're reviewing applications, the big thing for us, number 1A and 1B, is the transcript and doing really well in your courses and taking courses that are challenging yourself. That's something that's a lot more important to us than taking that standardized test. And so I think that's something that's a great option for students to relieve that pressure and not have to worry about that number bogging them down.
We're also at St. Peter's, we're test optional as well. I always tell students it's 4 years versus 1 day. So your 4 years are going to speak louder than that 1 day in the classroom for a couple hours. You may be uncomfortable, you're just nervous and stuff. So ask schools if they are test optional and see what the other options are. With St. Peter's, you just have to write a second essay, which gives you more of a voice for sure, definitely in your application. But ask definitely, we are test optional. A few of us are here test optional.
At Seton Hall University, we aren't test optional. For standardized testing, they are heavily important for how we go about determining scholarship levels, and they're particularly strict for some of our dual degree accelerated programs, such as our physical therapy program, athletic training program, where we are holding a seat for you at the graduate level of coursework. So we do waive the testing requirement at the graduate level. But do know, something that I wasn't aware of when I was applying to colleges is that everything does not ride on one Saturday examination of the SAT. Know that, even at this point in the admission cycle for seniors, we are always happy to reevaluating your test scores and recalculating your super score when new tests are brought to our attention. This year I even worked with a student who originally was awarded an $8,000 per year scholarship based upon her first sitting of the ACT, decided to take it a second time, and we were able to increase her scholarship up to $18,000 per year. So know that, one examination is very stressful, but know that many schools are constantly open to reevaluating your super score if you were to take the test an additional time, 2, 3, 4 times.
At Felician, we do require either the SAT or the ACT. However, in tying back to previous questions, you can definitely overcome a weaker score at Felician by, a strong personal statement or strong GPA. So I always tell students not to be discouraged if your test score is a little bit lower than what we publish our minimum requirement as.
And I always tell students to take both the SAT and the ACT. You might do better on one test over the other. So that's definitely something to consider throughout the college process.
Okay, thank you very much for those answers. We're getting a lot of literature as counselors now, probably more so than we ever did, of colleges offering pre-college programs, such as the summer programs and, whether weekend programs. Is it a chance that if they go to those programs, does that help their admission process, or is it just helping their skills in order to get ready for that? Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Anybody like the question, or should we dispose of that question?
I'll take it. So at NJCU, we do offer a high school summer scholars program for rising seniors and juniors. And, that doesn't really hold a lot of weight in terms of whether or not you're going to get accepted into the school, but it does show that you took the initiative to take college courses. And when you take those high school summer scholars courses, you're going to be in a classroom with college students that are taking courses over the summer. So you really get to see what it's like, what the workload is like, and, you get to experience firsthand, sort of what college would be like.
At TCNJ, we also offer pre-college programs over the summer for rising juniors and rising seniors. And in some cases, they are for credit at TCNJ, and we treat them in admissions much like we do the same demonstrated interest I spoke to earlier. So we do track if a student did participate in one of our pre-college programs.
I'm sorry, at NJCU, all of those are for credit, so you will get college credits for them.
All right, thank you. And no, that question was not on your list. We threw that in at the end there. What is the biggest change in workload from high school to college? That's where a lot of our kids struggle. The students in, whether it be college prep, honors level, AP, when they get to the college, they really struggle with the workload. So if anybody can expand upon that.
My best piece of advice, because obviously college is different than high school, work with your professors, work with tutoring services, because one of the main differences between high school and college is in high school, you have a teacher that every day is going to take attendance, is going to know where you are. They are consistently working with you. You have amazing guidance counselors who consistently check on you, make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. college is a much more independent time in your life, and it's a great time to kind of figure things out. And one of the main things you have to figure out is how to also be able to do things for yourself. So the work definitely does get more challenging, but especially for Rider, we have so many resources available, and you really make it so that you can continue kind of what you had in high school. But definitely, no matter what grade you are, start to think about how you're going to work and function differently in college, because it's going to be more independent, but there are always resources.
And also just really, learn how to manage your time, because a lot of times when you go to class, you'll get a syllabus the first day and it'll really map out everything that you're going to do for the whole semester. And there's not a constant reminder of the assignments that you have and when they're due. So just learn how to manage your time. And again, use the resources at NJC. We do have a lot of resources for students. We have a hub that has tutoring in all subjects. So you can always get help, and also just make sure you connect with your professors still.
I think definitely just jumping off of that, time management is huge. And when you go off to college, you're definitely going to see an extreme difference in how you manage your time as well. High school is a lot of the times, the same thing every day. You have this period, and then this is when you do your homework. College is different in the fact that each day is going to be a little bit different in terms of when you have class, when you're going to have time to do your homework. If you're involved in extracurricular activities, when are those going to happen? So I think just planning out your schedule is super important. And I know on a personal level, and just knowing a lot of people and speaking about the college experience, I've had many people tell me that they found themselves more successful in college than in high school just because of that schedule change. And sometimes it can actually help you rather than, put you off the path. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like everybody just maybe for one phrase, one comment, words of advice to the parents and students out here from each of the schools, not to put you on the spot. We're going to start from left to right. Words of wisdom to finalize the program here. Anything that you'd like to add in with that?
I would say you're all doing the best first step in starting early, and definitely, always feel free to connect with the admission counselor at each school where, you're a resource and where they're your biggest, advocate in the process.
Just to reiterate something that we touched upon during this panel, go to visit schools. All of us here, we have marketing departments, or we hire out to marketing firms to create the best possible ads and promotional materials and everything, but you won't actually know if you belong on that campus until your feet are there and until you get the chance to interact with faculty and students. So definitely, if you're applying to a school out in California, maybe it's not possible, but if it's anything in the East Coast, make that commitment and go and visit. Even if you kind of take a road trip or it's a vacation that includes a college visit, just make sure you actually get your feet on that campus before you put down your deposit.
To sum it up in one word, communication. Communicate with your guidance counselors, communicate with admissions counselors. We're like the nicest people because we have to be nice to everyone. Not really, but we're all just genuinely nice people. Communicate in essays. It's show communication, show interest, communicate. Ta-da. So.
I think that what my colleague from Stockton was saying and what I touched upon earlier is basically just visit those campuses. Again, you're not going to know where you fit in until you go say it. But as, again, the Stockton rep was saying, you guys are pretty ahead of schedule right now. Some of you are sophomores in here, some of you are juniors. So you have that year to decide where you're going to fit in best. So just, sit down with your parents and feel what's best for you, and don't, let somebody from this panel maybe sway your options. You're definitely the ultimate decider here.
Understand that this process is stressful for everyone. So for you as a student, it's going to be stressful because you have so many options. For parents, it's going to be stressful. But understand that you have resources in your guidance staff, in representatives from college, and to kind of, again, echo what they've been saying, use your resources, go on visits, talk to people, just know what's available to you, because and to use an idea that the Rowan rep used earlier, this is an investment, and you want to make sure that wherever you're going, you understand what you're getting for that investment. So use your resources and know what you're getting.
And speaking of investments and money, start doing your FAFSA early. I know we opened up, most schools opened up the FAFSA in October so that you can get started on the application process early. That's very important because another big factor with visiting campuses is how much the school is offering you to go there. So you want to make sure you do that FAFSA early so that you do qualify for all the grants that the school may offer and, take as much off of your tuition as possible. And about those visits, we do have an open house April 8th, next Saturday. So if you guys are interested, you can come out and really just see what NJCU is about. We're about an hour away, but like most of the reps said, it's very important for you to visit the college so you can see what it's like and how you fit in there.
I'll keep it simple. Have fun. This is about to be one of the best years of your life, so really enjoy this process. It may be stressful, but it's going to be enjoyable too.
I'll say two things. First, I would encourage the families to go home and have an honest conversation about what you're willing to spend or put forth towards your son or daughter's college education. That doesn't mean you have to take a look at all the price tags of the schools up here, any limit, and cut out, the top ones or the bottom ones or state or only private, because we all have different ways that we offer merit-based scholarships and everything else. Nothing's worse than watching a student come to campus, fall in love with it, go to the bookstore and buy the overpriced sweatshirt, and then buy it online. It's cheaper. But, and then all of a sudden they apply, get accepted, and then all of a sudden they realize that they can't afford it. We all work really hard to try to bridge that gap for students and everything else like that. So I think if that's a conversation that you have early, you'll see a larger outcome. We all are required to have net price calculators on our website, so you can kind of go through there, put in academic information, financial information, and you'll get an idea from what you'd be eligible for in terms of merit-based scholarships, institutional funds, state and federal funds. So that's one thing. And the second thing, you've been hearing visit. I would definitely encourage you to do that, but we work really hard on our visit programs. I'm sure all of us do, our student ambassadors, our tours and everything else like that. Don't bite off more than you can chew. I love it. We're a quarter mile from the beach, so we'll get people that come in and they'll be like, okay, we're at Fairleigh Dickinson this morning, and then we went to Ryder, and by the time they come to us at 3:00 in the afternoon, the whole family wants to kill each other because they've been so sick of being in the car and everything else like that. So, like my colleague from Montclair said, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Don't go nuts on your road trips trying to squeeze in 4 schools in one day if you're going to be exhausted, because it's not fair to you, and it's certainly not fair to us in terms of the effort that we put in when we do welcome you to campus. So enjoy.
I would say follow your gut and be okay with not knowing for a while, because when you do know, you're going to know for sure. That's all I got.
I would say one of the most important things is if you have questions, just ask us. That's what we're here for. If you have questions about financial aid, anything about the application process, that's what your counselors are here for. So definitely just ask away.
I would say not to wait until the last minute. You don't want to be at the end of May trying to figure out where you're going to college, or at April 30th, the day before deposits are due, trying to figure out where you're going to school. You want to have plenty of time to really look everything over, both financially and the institution as a whole. That way you're making that right choice. So definitely keep that in mind.
Speaking from personal experience, I felt very pressured to know exactly what I should be looking for or need to be looking for out of the college or university that I'm meant to go to. And I found that to be very, very stressful. So my number one tip for students, if you find yourselves in that similar position where you're kind of not knowing where to start, is I try to encourage students to flip it and at least start to research institutions and visit institutions and maybe focus on what isn't going to be a good fit for you. and pick out characteristics of institutions that you know are not going to be beneficial to either your undergraduate experience or your academic experience, and then use those characteristics to help narrow down your choices. Because frankly, even just looking at this panel, you have a ton of choices to choose from. And especially here in the Northeast, you have a lot of very good choices to choose from, which is a great thing, but don't get overwhelmed by the process by feeling pressured to know exactly what kind of a school is going to be a good fit for you. At least try to think of what aspects of an institution may not be a good fit for you.
When you do decide which college is right for you and you're applying, I'm going to steal TC&J's buzzwords. Demonstrated interest is so important. Have it reflect in your essay. Try to arrange a visit to the college. If you can't arrange a visit, shoot us an email. Email me individually and tell me about yourself. I can't stress enough how important it is for us to hear from you why you think you are a good fit for our school.
I don't have much to say to you guys since you're all here tonight. Clearly you're excited about college, but your friends might not be as excited. So take what you learned here tonight and please share it with your friends. Let them know how important it is. And then lastly, in the fall, you may or may not realize that a lot of us are traveling to different high schools. So if you want some information from us, it might be best to email us rather than call us because we might not get to our phone until the end of the week. Thanks for coming out.
What everyone else said, every time I thought of something, someone else would say it. So from personal experience, do not room with your best friend from high school.
Great way to end that segment. And again, I do appreciate everybody coming out tonight. If you look around, we have not as many people as we send out the emails for, and as not as many people that went to the workshop. So I appreciate those people that came to the workshops. I'd like to thank Sebastian for filming this tonight. This will be on the website once we get it ready. We also will have the PowerPoints from the workshops probably up tomorrow or in the next couple of days. So certainly look for that on our Brick School website. We have a wealth of information on there. I also like to thank, since it is about the students, I'd like to thank all the student volunteers for helping. We had many seniors that didn't have to be. They already know where they're going. So I would like to thank the seniors for coming out and all the other students that ended up helping. And again, thank you for the administration. We have Mr. Kleister, who kind of gave us the approval to do this, along with Mr. Philippone last year. So we tried something different. The panel was awesome last year, and you guys were, you even bypassed that. So you guys did an outstanding job, and I want to thank you very much for your information. Okay, if you have any other questions for the panelists, we don't want to keep them too long here. Feel free to ask them anything from the counselors. Anything else you guys have? So I think they ate all the Chick-fil-A sandwiches. I think some people just came for the Chick-fil-A and the Bubba Coos, though. So, all right, thank you very much for coming. Have a good night.